2022, and we're happy to have her. So welcome, Erin.
Hi, everybody. So yes, when I spoke to you guys before, we talked about love and relationships, which I truly feel like is my purpose. But today we're going to talk about how I kind of got there and tips and things that I feel like I've done that will help you find your purpose and unblocking your blessing, right? When you walk in your purpose, you are blessed. But I think that a lot of the conversation stops at once you find your purpose. But I think that there's more to the conversation. And I think that it's definitely possible. Just knowing your purpose isn't enough. There are things that can block your blessing. So we're going to get to those. So, like most of you know, I am Erin F. Darden. By trade, I am an attorney. And so, one day in college, I just woke up and said, let's go to law school, right? This is going to be my platform to affect my community. This is how I'm going to bring about, my impact to the world. Decided go to law school. I actually enjoyed law school, which is rare for most attorneys. Graduated top of my class, got a great job with the government. I think I started that job in September of 2016. By December of 2016, I knew that being an attorney wasn't it. It took literally 3 months for me to know this ain't it, right? And so I struggled with that for a long time. It's like, this is what you always wanted to do. You're actually good at it. And in 3 months, I'm like, wow. So I know that being an attorney wasn't it for me, but I had no idea what was for me. So I told myself, okay, well, just sit still, and God will let you know what you're supposed to do. So I'm trying to be patient. I'm sitting still. But in the meantime, I'm absolutely miserable at work, right? I am unfulfilled. I wasn't making enough money. I had just moved to this area, so I was by myself. And then the guy I was dating at the time, this is not what I want. So literally, every single area of my life fell apart. So I struggled with depression for a long time, like prescriptions, like all of it. Like it was really, really bad. I cried every single day that I had to go to work. Wow. And so after about 3 years of struggling with it, I'm like, yeah, no, God, you got to tell me something like this. Like it's been 3 years. Like, what's up? Like we gotta do something. And so I decided to do a fast. January of 2019. I was in this program. So I go to First Baptist Church at Glenarden. And I was in the Queen Esther program at that time that they have. So all of us did a corporate fast for January. So I said, okay, I'll fast for the whole month, but God, you got to let me know, like, what's up? So my focus for the fast was to find clarity on my purpose. And so on January the 1st, 2019, I wrote in my journal, Lord, I'm seeking clarity on my purpose. Please show me how you want to use me. I'm available and want only what you have for me. And so one of the things that I did during that month is I read T.D. Jakes' book, Identity. And it's so funny because I had purchased the book months ago and it just sat on my bookshelf. I picked it up, put it down, picked it up, put it down. I'm like, okay, I really want to read it this time.
Identity, it's called?
Identity, yep. And you'll see it on the next slide. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going through. There's questions after each chapter to answer. And so there was one part that really stuck out to me. And so it said, there is another person inside of you that the world has not seen yet. The time wasn't right before. You had to go through enough trouble, enough pain, enough agony, enough failure to get ready for this moment. But you're ready now. And so for me, that confirmed that my suspicion that being an attorney wasn't it for me, right? Because I knew that this wasn't it. Every day I went to work, I cried. I felt like my office was a cage, right? So my mom was like, are you at work? Yeah, I'm in my cage. Like, that's how it felt to me. And so reading this, it just kind of confirmed to me that there is more inside of me. And so I was going through the book. I was answering questions. And so I still didn't really know, what was it for me. And there were some other things, some other questions, and I'm going to give you those things in a second. But some of the questions, like, I didn't know the answer to, right? And so, but my friends actually did. So I think my discernment is really good from God, but I don't always listen. And so then he has to use other people to talk to me. And so I was talking to my friend one day. This was during the fast. So I was telling her about the book and what I was learning about myself. But I was saying, I know that being an attorney isn't it, but I still can't put my finger on what it is I'm supposed to do. And she paused for a second and she said, you know what? Like, everybody asks you for help. What if that has something to do with your purpose? And I never thought about it like that. And like when she said it, it kind of like hit me like a bomb, like, And I honestly, I don't even know why people ask me for help. Like, when people ask me for the craziest stuff, and most of the time I make the answer up. And they're like, okay. And literally, I just made that up. Like, people call me about kids. I don't have kids. Like, but when I hang up the phone, I'm like, oh, that actually sounded kind of good. Like, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is, has something to do with it. And so I was going back through the questions in the book and different things that I had been, and things started to come together. So I'm like, okay, so she was right. So I really believe that coaching is my purpose. And so specifically, I'm like, okay, let's be obedient. And because I was partly scared, I went and enrolled in a coaching program. And so I got my coaching certification in emotional intelligence and life coaching. Kept answering more questions, and so now specifically I'm an emotional intelligence and relationship coach, and I'll tell you how I got there in a second. And what I do is I help women who were frustrated or who are frustrated and guarded how I was. I help them tap into vulnerability, learn toxic behaviors, and improve their relationship with themselves so that they can really manifest the love that they deserve. All right. And so there are 3 things that we are going to go over today. I am going to give you 7 tips to discover your purpose. And then we're going to talk about, even once you have your purpose, what can still block your blessings. And then we're going to talk about what to do to make sure that your blessings are not blocked. So Mark Twain said, the 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. If you aren't familiar with Mark Twain, you've probably heard Jeremiah 29:11 when the Lord declares that he has a plan for you. Right? And I think that there is a recent surge in living a purpose-driven life, right? Especially after the pandemic. Everybody's life is too short. People have been quitting their job left and right. I know I quit my job in the middle of the pandemic without a plan. I don't recommend that, but like everybody, since everybody realizes like life is so short, like people want to do things that are meaningful. People are even taking less money to have a more fulfilling life, right? And I get it. It's just to go into a job every day that you are, miserable at. It's just not it. And so, I think that one thing that you have to really do in order to find your purpose is you have to be self-aware, right? You have to know who you are to your core, right? I am an emotional intelligence coach, but the heck is that? Most people don't even know what emotional intelligence is. So emotional intelligence is knowing who you are, right? Understanding and being able to manage and identify your emotions and emotions in other people, and being able to use those in positive ways. Right? So I knew that I cried every day that I went to work. I mean, yes, I was stressed out, but after 4 years, I know what I'm doing, but I'm still crying, right? And so emotions are there to let you know that something is up, right? And so research shows that your emotional intelligence is more important than your IQ, right? Where your IQ is actually like you're born with whatever your level of intelligence is, your emotional intelligence, you can improve it. So people say your IQ can get you the job, but it's your EQ that actually helps you to thrive.
Wow.
Right? So, and there's one survey that shows that for every point that you can increase your emotional intelligence, you add $1,300 to your annual salary. Right? And the first step of emotional intelligence is self-awareness, knowing who you are, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. And so the reason that the more self-aware you are, the better your life is, the greater quality of life you have, is because you are more likely to pursue opportunities and relationships that highlight your strengths and align with your core values, right? There's a difference between just being in this relationship just to be in it versus knowing exactly what you want and need in a relationship and not settling until somebody gives that to you. All right, so self-awareness is extremely, extremely important. And so I'm going to give you 7 things that will help you become more self-aware to help you identify your purpose. So the first tip that you should do, you have to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for anything that you feel like you should have done by now that you have not. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. If you feel like you needed to get a degree and you haven't, like all of that, you have to forgive yourself for whatever it is. If your life doesn't look how you thought it to look, you kind of got to accept it. What's most important is what you do from this moment forward, right? So first thing, forgive yourself, right? Release that stuff right now. Everything happens for a reason. And so it's just important to appreciate where you are, accept where you are, and build from here. The second thing that I think you should do to identify your purpose, strengthen your relationship with God. I think that this probably should have been number 1. Because if you don't do this, the rest of these tips kind of don't matter. And I know that you may already have a relationship with him, but if you really want him to reveal his plan to you, like, you have to draw nearer to him. Like, that was the only way I was going to figure out that coaching is my purpose, right? I have a couple of scriptures written down here. God is a rewarder of those who seek him diligently. That's Hebrews 11:6. Spend time with him, read the word, pray, and then pay attention. God talks to us, but you got to make sure that you know his voice, right? He can talk to you in multiple ways. Sometimes he just wakes me up in the middle of the night to talk to me. Sometimes he uses other people to talk to me, especially when I'm being hard-headed. Like, you heard me the first time. So you just have to know how he talks to you, and be obedient when he does. Don't be like me. The third tip to discover your purpose is to identify your core values. I think that it is really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, right? Being a mom, a wife, a sister, we try to take care of everybody else, and we can get stuck in that routine and forget about what's really important to us. So it's important that you really know what your core values are and make sure that you are doing things that align with those, right? Like, is your job really satisfying and fulfilling to you, or are you just there for a paycheck, right? And that's when I knew, like, you're just here for a paycheck, and it's not like you out here, like, really living, like, you just making it kind of. And so that's when I kind of was like, yeah, I don't want to live a life that I'm just here for a check. Like, I don't want to do anything just for money, right? So you just have to make sure that you are aware of your core values and kind of check in with yourself and ask, does this relationship, does this job, does this friendship, whatever, truly align with my core values? And if not, maybe it's time to make some adjustments. The fourth tip that you should do, identify your spiritual gifts. God created you to fulfill his plan, and as a result, he gave you certain spiritual gifts. That's 1 Peter 4:10. Right? Your spiritual gifts will give you an indication of the areas you should consider serving. So there are actually different types of spiritual gifts. So there's teaching, giving, mercy, and leadership. But you got to give the gift that he gave you, right? So if you feel like you're burnt out from doing the Lord's work, that might not be your ministry, right? If you ever go to church and you see those nasty acting ushers, that might not be their ministry, right? So you have to make sure that you're actually doing what's important for you. And there are actually assessments like online that you can take to identify your spiritual gifts. So if you just like Google spiritual gift assessment, they'll come up. And so that'll also give you an indication of the types of things that you were created to do. Number 5, take note of what you do well. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and then as a result, you have innate abilities, right? These are the things that you do with ease, right? Like I told you, people call me all the time, and most of the time I make this stuff up, but they seem to really appreciate what I said, even though I feel like or you could have just Googled it, or it's, you know what I mean? But it's something that this is why I never even thought about it being my purpose, because I don't think twice about it when I make stuff. I don't always make stuff up, but like, I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think twice about it. Like, it's just kind of second nature to me. So those things that you do well, like that you really, really can do well, that people would kill to do at your level and you do it effortlessly, pay attention to those things. Now, I do want you to note that I said things that you do well, not that you like doing. I never thought about helping people as being my purpose, because honestly, it used to get on my nerves. It used to bother me that people always would call and ask me, like, you didn't even try to figure it out before you called me. Like, it truly used to get on my nerves. Like, and it's something I had to work through in therapy, but it wasn't until I realized that, oh, this is a gift that I have for other people, that's when I started changing my mind about people calling me, right? But until then, like, I literally would be annoyed. So it may not be something that you actually enjoy doing, but you do it well. So keep that in mind. And just because you don't do it well doesn't mean, just because you don't always enjoy it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to still do it, right? Your purpose is not about you. It is for other people. And so that definitely helped me to change my mind about that. Recognize your passions. Think about all of your extracurricular activities. What type of books do you read? What type of organizations are you a part of? What type of communities are you a part of? And look to see if there are any commonalities. Do you really have a heart for children, or some elderly people, or a certain issue like abortion rights, or whatever it is? Like, think about those things that you are passionate about, right? You have those feelings for a reason. Like, what's the one topic that burns you up inside, or really gives you a lot of joy, like more than other people around you? Those types of things may also have to do with who you are and why you were created, right? I truly get sad when I hear women settling in relationships, right? Truly get sad. And that's kind of how, part of the reason that I work with women in their relationships. Like, it breaks my heart, right? More than probably the next person. And so that was also an indication to me that I was supposed to be working with people in their relationships. And then the last tip, recall your victories, right? Pain is unavoidable. We don't like it. But our trials and tribulations, they are necessary to help us learn, and to help develop us into who we need to be to fulfill God's purpose for our lives. He created all of us, right? And all things work together for those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose, which is what Romans 8:28, right? So this also has to include our struggles, right? So when you're self-reflecting, thinking about things that you've overcome, don't just think about what you overcame. Think about how, right? Because you're supposed to teach other people how to do that. Exodus 9:16, God spared you to help his children and be a testament of his power, right? So he got you over it so that you can help somebody else do it, right? I'm sure you guys have heard pastors say, right? But they say your struggle is your strength, your misery is your ministry, right? Mm-hmm. All of that is true, right? He helped you overcome those things so that you can turn around and help other people, right? Now, of course, there is a level of healing that you have to do yourself to be able to even help others, but it is very important that you get to that point because he helped you so that you can turn around and help somebody else, okay? So these are the 7 tips that I think will help you discover your purpose if you feel like you don't know it already. And when you walk in your purpose, you are blessed, right? That's kind of the point of it. But I think that it is possible to block your blessing.